So, over the past couple of years, a lot of people have asked me, hey Mark, how do you make your stuff in Paint 3D? How is it even possible that you make this stuff in Paint 3D? Like, how the heck does that work? Well, today I will be showing you exactly that. I recently did a stream where people could ask me questions, and I turned that into this video. With a couple of neat tips and tricks and just thinking about 3D modeling in a different way, you can actually make some pretty cool stuff in Paint 3D that actually, looks decent, I suppose, by standards, even of like more advanced 3D programs. This is not exactly a follow-along tutorial, so by the end of this, I will not show you like step by step how to make this Kirby model. By the end of it, I hope you have more knowledge about this program so you can make any model you want. I think you'll get the most out of this video by just watching the whole thing. Just enjoy tinkering with the settings, making some basic shapes and just trying new stuff. And if you end up making something, I would love to see it. So post it somewhere, tag me on Twitter, Instagram. I would love to have a peek. All right, let's go. I know a lot of people who want to get into 3D modeling, and that's what this program is for. Like, if you want to get into stuff like Blender and 3D models in general, this is a great, gateway to that kind of thing. Because this is a very nice and easy program to practice in. You know, if you grew up with, Windows at all, you probably tried, Windows Paint before. This is basically that, but a sort of an evolution of it. You can just draw 3D shapes. And there you go, a 3D shape for you to spin around, edit, and just... yeah, that's 3D. You can change the color, you can do all kinds of stuff with this. You could just make a character, you can draw on top of the model. And that's basically what you do. Of course, this is no, big flipping 3D program like Blender. It's very limited. But still, using some workarounds and tricks and tips that I will be showing you today, you can still make fun models, like my avatar or other stuff you might have seen on my Twitter. They removed Paint 3D in Windows 11? Are you kidding me? Am I giving a tutorial on a program that's about to be expired soon? Oh my god. Okay, whatever. Sure, whatever. Whatever, man. It's optional now, okay. Yeah, now this program should be on most Windows machines. You know, if you have Windows, you have Paint 3D. It usually comes with Windows. Let me give you a quick tour of this model, actually, how I made this one. We're currently in the 2D view of Paint 3D. If you click this nice little button up here, you go into the 3D view. Oh god! Okay, I didn't realize it was this bad. So the thing is, in Paint 3D, when you make pictures that only are meant to be seen from one angle, it just turns into a flipping nightmare. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I hate that. Oh, that's disgusting. First thing I'll be doing is changing my canvas size. So you have these little tabs up here. Let's see, you got brushes, 2D shapes, 3D shapes, stickers, text, effects, canvas, 3D library. If you're just lazy, you want to just get a model, just get this. There you go, you got a UFO. Wow, wowie zowie. I have used this a couple of times, actually, the 3D library, because there are some basic shapes in here that you can not draw freehand, but you can get them just by getting a basic shape. Let me see, especially things like hair. It's extremely difficult to do. This kind of shape. With some creative repurposing, you can just use it as a chair if you want. That's kind of stuff. That's what it's useful for. But that's not what we're here for today. We're gonna be doing some actual modeling. So yes, I started by going to the canvas menu, making the canvas bigger. This is the first thing you'll need to know for this program, because the thing is, if you make textures, with textures I mean you draw on an object. Let me go into the 3D shapes menu, get a sphere. Just gonna drag, click, there we go, got a sphere. And let me just draw on there with a brush. I'm gonna select the brush from this menu, make it red, for example, make it a little thicker. This is all the same as different art programs. If you've drawn before in a different program, don't worry, your skills will carry over. So I draw on this, there you go. Now if you zoom in, you see that this is all pixelated. It's all just pixels on an orb. Now if you were to make a second sphere, and I draw this one, and I make it very small, just like this. And then I start drawing on that. Let me make the lines equally thick, sort of. And then we zoom in on that. You see, it gets more pixelated. So the smaller you draw in this program, the more pixelated it will be. However, if you make things super big, things will have super high resolutions. You don't always need that, and it just makes the frame rate kind of tank. So yeah, just make the canvas bigger. Give yourself a little more space. I'm just gonna make a sphere. So we go to the 3D shapes menu. We get a sphere. Click on that. And then we just drag. If you hold shift, it becomes a perfect sphere. If you don't, you can just make an oval or whatever you want. Now, as I showed you with this, my avatar, we are now currently in the 2D view. If you click on 3D view, you can actually see it from different angles. You can use the right mouse button and drag that to rotate this around. Let's get this out of the canvas. So I'm just gonna you know, get from like a good camera angle to be able to drag it out, and then left click and boop, there you go. So right click to rotate the camera, left click to select objects, move them around. Pretty simple. If I want to go back to 2D, then I just click the button again, and I'm back in 2D. Now, the reason why you want to switch between these two is because, well, 2D view kind of gives you the camera perspective, you know? Like, when you save it as a flat image, it will no longer be 3D. So you can just use this as a reference point. Like, okay, if I look through this particular lens, like this particular camera angle, that's what is going to be exported as an image file later on, if you want to share it with other people. Now, this is not a Kirby ball yet. We want to add some stuff to this. Somebody's first impulse might be, okay, I'm just going to add this, and then I'm going to add another sphere, and then another one, and boom, there you go, Kirby. That's something you can do. I've seen a lot of people do this, like in the program. They just mash some shapes together, and then call it a day, and then they're like, well, Paint 3D kind of sucks, and then they leave. I guess you can do that, but what we're gonna do, I have made some stickers for this program. I just threw these in a different program. You can save them as like a transparent PNG, and just flipping paste them into Paint 3D, and just, you know, add all kinds of like shapes that wouldn't normally be possible in this program, or would be very difficult to draw. Just gonna do this. Oh, a little bit thinner. Something like that. Now, how would we do like a foot shape? You know, that would be difficult because we kind of need like a half an orb. They have half orbs in this, but they don't quite look like the Kirby feet. Now, this is where the coolest feature of Paint 3D comes in. You can basically draw your own shapes. So if I were to draw like a foot, like this. There you go. Well, it's poorly connected at the bottom, but see if I rotate this around. And, you know, if I make this a little wider, then it's kind of a Kirby foot. Like that. Just make it a little bigger. And I can copy this, like Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V, or just the copy-paste buttons that you would normally use, like they're in the top right of the screen. This kind of stuff. And then little arms. I'm just gonna draw, like, sort of a round shape. I can use a sphere for that too, but I wanna draw stuff. Because that's the most fun thing about this program. I wish Blender had this. There you go, little curb. I also made stickers for the mouth and everything. American curb. There you go. That kind of stuff. So that's the basics of it. Like, you mesh shapes together, and you can use stickers if you want nicer textures, because you can just draw those in a different program and just copy paste them on here. And you draw your own shapes for specific things that are difficult to do with the standard shapes. That's the gist of it. And then comes the hard part, which is figuring out like specifically how to make certain shapes. Let's try something a little more complex. Like, anybody can make a Kirby in this program. It's not too difficult. Just mash some shapes together. But what if you wanted to do something difficult, you know? We're gonna make King Dedede, yeah? Okay, so quick tip, if you want to make a shape like perfectly the same color again, you just select the shape with the little tool in the top left, the arrow, then you go to edit color, and you get the color picker, just pick on this color, and boom, there you go. Can you make the eyes hideously off model? Yes, I can! How do we mess this up in the worst way possible? Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, I think that's good. Yep, good work, team. Stop saying that's not Among Us! There's nothing Among Us about this! Shut up! You're all banned. You're all banned. You will all burn for your sins. See, okay, DDD has like this egg thing shape. So like this. Okay, now if I hold Control and then drag like the little thingies on the side, you can actually keep it like the same height, only changing that particular angle of it. Now let's see. Okay, I haven't even talked about materials yet. There's so much to get into. So first I pick a color with the color thing, and then we go to custom. Then I pick polished metal. That's pretty nice. Looks a bit flat. If we go into 3D view and rotate the camera, we can see that it is kind of flat. So what we're gonna do is I hold Control again and then kind of stretch it on this axis, and then we can just go right back to 2D view and drag it over here. If I grab this little box on the left with the arrows, I can move it like back and forth on that plane, and yeah, just put it on his forehead. There we go. Also, sometimes when I'm lazy, I don't want to go to 3D view, I just grab shapes. If you want to grab multiple, you click one, hold shift, and then click another one. There you go, multiple shapes. Sometimes I just rotate it on this axis and then move it back. If you hold shift, you can like if you just normally do it, you just do it like this. It's very loose. If you hold shift, you go like at certain increments, which makes it easier to find like certain angles if you need them. Let's see. If you draw a shape in this, like this, then you can no longer edit this shape in any way, except for like, you know, stretching it on axis and all that. So let's get to like one of the hardest parts of flipping DDD's face, which is the beak. let me give it a try with the regular drawing tool, see what happens, you know? You can just do this. It's gonna do it without, like, the big pointy bit, like his nose, kind of. If you just do this, like, okay, so you have this now. This doesn't look particularly good in 2D. Looks atrocious in 3D. Like, what are you gonna do with this? Another trick. This is the line tool, or tube, I suppose. And you can draw tubes with this. Let me get an empty part of the canvas. Let me show you. Kind of like this. There we go. Now, the fun thing about tubes is that you can edit them after drawing. So you can still move these little, let's call them nodes. You can move these nodes around. So you can still edit that. And not only in 2D, this is something people don't know usually. If you go to 3D view and like rotate the camera, guess what? You can still move these in like 3D space. Look at that. Now, you can do some crazy stuff with this. Like if you wanted to make like a corkscrew or like a very complex kind of shape. Like you can just move this everywhere, like all the way in, like everywhere in 3D. I think there is a limit on how much you can move these things. Like I see the little time clock appear, because then Paint 3D will just, you know, freak out, be all like, okay, too many changes, please stop. But look at this. It's very important that you learn this one, because with these tubes you can make all kinds of like shapes that would normally be impossible in this program. This is the most important part of 3D modeling, and that is the cutting up objects into smaller shapes. Like now we're doing this already, like we got a shape for the head, we got a shape for the eyes. I'm going to get a reference image of DDD real quick, because you know it's always better to draw with reference, both in 2D and in 3D. If you don't quite know how to draw something, just get a reference. Everybody does this, I do it. Just pull up a reference image. Look, I copy pasted a picture of DDD in this. So let's put this side by side. This one's on the canvas, by the way. Any flat image you copy paste in here, like it will be on the canvas, which is apparently mirrored on the backside. That's kind of cool. You can also disable the canvas. If we go to canvas and we just click like show canvas off, no canvas. Whoop-de-doo. Okay, now already I see, oh, my eyes are too big. Oh, this needs to move down a little. Oh, this needs to be in front of the eyes. References are so important. Please get used to gathering reference material and using them. I'm just gonna add the hat because I wanna. Gonna take half a sphere and put it. Okay, so we don't want to have that like metal. Maybe glossy, maybe matte. Usually matte looks fine. Put this over here. Just gonna angle this slightly so it doesn't quite overlap. It's a lot of tweaking. That's what this all is. Let's see. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that ought to do it. Now you see that these eyeballs are kind of floating there. If we look at from above, like you see, you know, that's kind of weird. Make this one a little flatter. You know, let's make these eyeballs like angle with the head. So we kind of do like this. Then they are a much nicer fit. See if that works. There we go. Now for the mouth, like I want to break this up into two things. This thing going on. And then we have like the beak that's on top of that, you know? We can call it like two shapes. We can make one with a tube and alter that in 3D space, and the other one we can just kind of draw. Let's try that. Okay, I need to move this face farther back so I can actually see what I'm doing. You can draw a box around the objects, or you can just, you know, click one, shift, select another one, and just keep doing that. It all works, whatever you prefer. Also, I can make a transparent canvas. That's nice, let's do that. Let's make them connect here at the top, because this will be covered by the big snout nose thing. There we go, because there will always be like a little area that's not quite connected. Oh, okay. So, you see that it kind of snapped into a different position after I drew that? That's not what I want. It gives me less, like fewer nodes to work with. Maybe I can still save this somehow. If you have a place where there's a lot of curves, you want more of the little nodes, like the little dots. So then you can make like a smoother, like a nicer curve, like exactly how you want it. I don't want this to be a straight line, this section. I need more of those nodes. So what I'm gonna do actually, I'm gonna trick Paint 3D into giving me more of those. I'm gonna make the thickness larger and I'm gonna draw the same shape, but on a larger scale. See, it already gives me quite a few more options to work with. I want it to be symmetrical, so we can do this. It doesn't really matter that the shape is too big, because we can just resize it later. I'm gonna go in the 3D view. I wanted to make this 3D. See, like, it's just flat now. That's not what I want. What I want to do is make this actual, like, curve around the face, just like it would on DDD. Oh, okay, I'm accidentally drawing like a new tube. I don't want that. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes it just does that. If you go into 2D view, like, you will only tweak it from this particular angle. That's also a reason to switch between those two views every now and then. Hope it doesn't fail miserably. But we'll see. Hey, look at that! Look at that. Something like that. Just looks like he's screaming in agony. Nice. In character. Something like this, and then we add the big... I know it may look a little weird right now, but don't worry, it's gonna look a lot better when it's done, I hope. Gotta trust the process. Bring this in closer. There we go, look at that, hey. He no longer looks like he's in terrible pain. Just regular pain. Something like that, and that way you can make a flipping 3D DDD that actually looks pretty decent from different angles. I'm gonna save this, hold on. Paint 3D project. There we go. This is a model that I worked on like earlier. This one is this is basically what I was trying to teach you with the the tubes. That's this one, and like a tube for the head, the coat. I was trying to do a coat. This is just the tube, like this, but it has been stretched to form kind of like a coat kind of thing. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just gotta be creative. Like see what the program can do. And just mess with that until it looks like what you want to make. Which is pretty fun. I like that. I think that's... I like taking limited programs and just seeing what you can do with them. Getting creative with that kind of stuff. Oh, I made the eyeballs separate models in this. Sometimes I do that because it allows you for, you know, to move it around more easily. To create different expressions. Oh, you know, here's a cool trick. Let me show you a cool trick. Normally, when you start with this program, like in settings... the perspective is turned on. And let me show you what it does. Whoops. Did I just close Paint 3D? Okay then. Well, look at this flipping cool wallpaper. Go watch Puss in Boots 2. I'm gonna make one side of this just red entirely. Completely red. And then there's like when you're drawing, there's actually a little rotation tool at the bottom that you can use. There we go. And this side is gonna be, you know, let's make it more colorful. Yellow. And then this side is gonna be... Well, let's keep it blue. That's fine. If you want to undo the rotation, just click the little arrow, and there you go. Now, as you can see, when I move this around, you can actually see the yellow side, and you can actually see the blue side when it's all the way over here. That's because perspective is now enabled for the 2D view. If we don't enable that, so we go back to settings, and like turn that off, do not show perspective. Now, I can drag this cube around, you will never see the other sides of it. You know, personally, I think it's extremely useful when you just have a cube and you draw on one side and you don't affect any of the other sides. But I want to show you effects. Like currently I'm on like the top left lighting setting. You have all these different lighting options here. And you can move the light source around as well. It's very fun to play with this. Like you can make some like dramatic lighting like this. I think there's like Minecraft lighting in here as well. It's pretty cool. I love this one, Honey, because it adds sort of a rim light. Like you can see, let me teach you a little bit about lighting. Lighting is a very interesting principle in art. Very important to give like objects you can view their volume better, or you don't see their volume at all. Like you want to keep things hidden in the shadows. Like that's always fun. At the top here, you see like a very faint kind of like whitish glow. That's what we call a rim light. Which means that a light source is like slightly behind the object. Let's talk about exporting stuff. I think that will be interesting for some people. You do it with image. You go over here, and then you select PNG, and then you just adjust the angle, turn on 3D view, and then here you can still like, you know, mess with that if you want, or the canvas size, all that kind of stuff. Not too complicated. You can just click button, see what happens. There's really nothing you can do wrong here. Or in pixels or percent, or make it transparent. This is an important one. If you want to make like little 3D avatars that I have, like mine in the bottom left, then you're gonna have to use transparency. Checkerboard means it's transparent. Oh, you can export as a video. That is pretty fun. Save as you can save the model and open it in a different 3D program of your choosing, or you can make a little video of it rotating around. You can do like these little stock animations of them jumping around and floating and doing things. That's all the animation you're gonna get with this program. There's no rigging or anything else, none of that fancy stuff. Alright, so one last thing to show you. We're in the home stretch, almost at the end of the video. This is like the big one. How do you add some spice to them? How do you make them look like more than just Paint 3D shapes meshed together? Well, that's where a different program comes in, and that's any drawing program you feel comfortable in. Like if it's Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint. I personally use Clip Studio Paint usually. I mean, that's basically how I turned this one into this one. Like I just drew this campfire with like a fancy brush in a different program. And like I add a little bit of texture to these renders. And I kind of like try to smooth these shapes together with the blend tool. And you can also like add shadows. I think I've added like a couple of shadows, and like I tweak the colors a little bit, tweak the contrast just a smidge, and using that you can really make those renders look like extra special and extra nice. Unfortunately, that's just where regular art skills come in, you know? That's just like learning about lighting, about composition, about texture, about all those fancy things. You can use them as a base, like I used them here. So in the end, it helped to save me a lot of time, and it has a very unique kind of look to it. Oh, right. This was the final one. I actually went over it with the line tool in a different program, just on a layer above it, and then it just traced it, and then boom, there you go. Now it has a sort of 3D comic booky kind of style. That's how I use it. You can use this program any way you want. If you see like a creative way to use it, and you're just like, yeah, let me try something, then heck yeah, go for it. That's what this is all about, like finding creative ways to use this program to your advantage. So use it how you want to use it, and that's my last advice. Just do your thing. Have fun, enjoy. I want to see what you make. I will probably be doing more art streams in the future. If you want to stop by, ask me questions, feel free to, or hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, comments, whatever you want. And I hope this was helpful. Yeah, happy drawing. I guess that's the thing people say at the end of videos. Bye-bye.